Welcome back to Grump's Barn, where today we're going to be getting on with this trike. In fact, well, we're not going to be getting on with much because, as you can see, it's finished. Look at that. See, completely done. That's it, all done, completely finished. Well, apart from taking the wheels off the front there, you know. No, actually, as you can see, I just chucked those there just to muck it up a little bit so I could have an idea of how long this thing's going to be when it's done. And judging by that sort of approximate place for the front wheel, it's going to be about 15.5 foot long. I don't know what that is in new money. What would that be? About 5 meters, something like that. Obviously, as you know, yeah, the back end's coming off of here. And I've had a good go over this since I stripped it. And I've found, yes, this is a lot worse than it first appeared. But I expected that. As you can see, not only is this back cover all gone, but half of this has gone too. That will be cut out and replaced. Obviously this is coming off anyway, but once I've cut out this, which I'll be doing very soon, so I can then get a hand in there or whatever and check around everything, see what we've got. Obviously I'll take out all the shit material and replace it, weld in some repair. And the only other stuff I've found so far on the entire chassis is this other side, where I said it had a repair that wasn't that great. It's not bad, considering it was on top of the bloody thing, hidden up under a wheel arch. It's not been done too badly. But unfortunately, I gave this a good old check, and as you can see, we've got a fucking great hole in there, which means almost certainly there'll be rot underneath this at the bottom, like there is on the other side, especially seeing as they left a hole in there. Didn't weld it completely. Never mind, so I'll be cutting all that off anyway and redoing it, because I want to repair any rust that's underneath that, because there will be. Apart from that, the chassis is all just fine, really. It's going to be a complete twat to get everything apart on this. And this is one of the reasons it's going to take so long to do, is things like these arms are going to have to come off. I'll put a new ball joint on the back. The axle's all going to need cleaning up. Everything's going to need doing. Oh, and I found something a bit of a surprise for me. In this diff, where's it gone now? Oh no, it's not on the diff. No, ignore what I was going to say. I thought for a minute I had an electric locking diff on the damn thing because there was wiring going to it, but no, apparently the wiring goes elsewhere. I haven't checked without the light before, so ignore that. I thought for a minute I had an electric locking diff in the fucking thing, which wouldn't have surprised me, the amount of things that have been chucked on this. But no, that's fine. Oh, now I've got a few more things to do today. I think one of the first things would probably be trying to get this bloody fuel tank out. Because apart from the engine and gearbox, that's the only other thing in the top of it that needs to go. Oh, and as you can see, if you get round here, I got that dirty great winch bumper off it. Heavy old bugger that is. I should be reusing some of the steel from that, I think. Most of that's absolutely fine. If I can get the powder coating off it. Well, half of it seems to just peeled off anyway. Yeah, it's just peeling off most of it. But there's some good metal in that, nice and fresh as well. There's 3mm and 5mm on there by the looks of it. Which will be coming in handy for a few bits and bobs. Yes. Oh, and I've also I've freed up the wastegate because I am going to use the turbo now. I've changed my mind. But bugger it, what's the point in having a trike? Look at a turbo. I was still in Series 2 mode where I didn't use anything like that because I was using 1960s running gear and I did not want extra power going through it. So no, this will have a turbo on it. That turbo is actually not as bad as I thought. It was just a wastegate seized. Everything else seems within tolerances. There's a little teeny bit of back and forward play on the central shaft, but it is very, very teeny. Possibly it would get taken up with oil. Obviously it's got a little bit of lateral play like they all have, but again only very slight. So yeah, we'll give that a go. I think the main problem with it was the fact that this wastegate was seized solid. It now moves. Not that I can move it against that anyway because it's tough, but it does move. It was seized absolutely solid. Yes, right. Suppose I better get on with this then. And start trying to undo these bloody bolts holding the shield underneath that tank. Because I don't know if the tank fits out through the top. I doubt it very much. We shall see. Well, there we go. One fuel tank out. I might have to change that for a smaller one. It is a bit large. And it had two protectors on it. Not only did it have the standard one sitting there, but it also had a dirty, great big galvanised one sitting there. All made of very good metal. I can no doubt use for something else. Ah dear. Now I can finally see this rear cross member. I'm going to attack that in a second. See if there are any holes in the damn thing. Because obviously I'm keeping this cross member here. It looks like the rest of it actually. Just surface shit. I had to cut the fuel lines in the end. Although the actual connectors from the tank seem fine. There's a teeny bit of surface rust on one of them, the other one's fine. And these connectors are fine, but the ones that come from the actual lines are solid in there at the moment. So I will have to give those a good going over. I couldn't undo them actually on the tank, they would not move. Ah, well, we're getting there. One of my favourite phrases, isn't it? One day I'll be right. Bloody hell, there's a lot of cleaning up needed on the back of this. The shocks will have to be replaced, obviously. The springs I can probably chuck in the blast cabinet and give them a good clean up and repaint. They're not going to have worn out, that's for sure. And I only replaced them on the Defender because I was doing everything else at the same time, and I thought pointless not changing them. Whereas these, they don't really need changing. The shocks, yes. They're past their best. In fact, if you look, there's rubber all coming out of here. all squidging out the back. Yeah, they're in a bit of a state. Obviously all the bushes and that will be changed as well. But at least I don't have to do the back this time. The front I can just be taken off and storing as a spare for whatever needs it. Well, who am I kidding? I'm taking it off and keeping it because I'm a fucking hoarder. Like most men, I hoard everything. But there again, these things do come in useful. Right. Obviously this, another thing I'm going to have to do to change the subject a minute, just thinking out loud, is this exhaust will have to be changed. Don't know exactly how, because I'm going to have a foot coming up here somewhere. They might have to put it over this side of the chassis. Build a foot plate on there, which will also be where the clutch pedal will be on the thing. I can't have it on top. It'd be too close to the bloody exhaust. That wouldn't be a good idea. I will obviously have a heat shield in between my foot and the exhaust as well, because I'm not stupid. Well, okay, I am stupid, but I'm not that stupid, put it that way. Yeah, right, now that's out, I'm half tempted to cut the back end off, just because I can. Yeah, if I cut it off a little bit long, then I can trim it back later. Yeah, fuck it, let's get that done. Well, there we go, bobtailed. That's better. Still fucking long, but it's a lot better than it was. Long old beastie. I think the legs. Fuck me, my brain's fried. The wheel's sticking out like that, ideal. And obviously to save myself grief when cutting it, I did like I did with the Defender. Across the top, down both sides, on both sides of it, then obviously just flaps open. Just cut across the bottom to finish it. A lot easier. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. Definitely looks a far better length. Although it still looks far too long, but fuck it. Brilliant. Oh yeah, I measured it with a tape measure. I finally found one that only did metric, which is a bit annoying. 4 meters 70. For those of you who speak that language, I'll stick with 15.5 foot. And that was, the 15.5 foot was measured from the back of the wheel here, right to the front of the front wheel. Oh yes, this is going to be wonderful. As I'm keeping the turbo, I can keep the front part of the exhaust, which is actually fine. And I can just make a new tailpipe for it. It comes from here around and out the side, exits by the back wheel. Right, next job is to get these bloody rock sliders off so I can get it down to its proper width. This should be fun. Let's see what we can undo or what needs cutting. Oh, I might just cut it anyway. It might be quicker and easier. Chop the bloody stays off because I'm not keeping them, but as I say, I'll be using the metal from them if I can elsewhere. I'm pretty sure I can. It's pretty good thick stuff. In fact, it might even be used, I could even use these for the forks. I don't know if I've told you, but the forks are going to be leading link on this. And the thing I was going to do excuse me. I was hoping the old hockey sticks here would be long enough to be used as part of the fork leg. But no, it doesn't appear they are. But what I could do instead of that is I could make the rocker arms out of the bottom part of them, which again would look nice. And again, it's part of a Land Rover. That'd take a bit of fucking about, obviously, like everything. But I think that's what I may well do, is use those hockey sticks, cut the bottoms off them, and try and find a way to turn them into rocker arms. Because I don't know if you know, well, I can show you how leading links work. Some people will know, some won't. You have your fork leg coming down from your steering head, which will be somewhere up. I'm going to put it high up here, because then hopefully with it being up here, I can then have handlebars coming over the back of the engine, and with my very long arms I should be able to reach them sort of about halfway down the engine. If I can do that, it means it will look a lot better and I won't have to have a double steering head. Because the other option is, if you can't reach them, then what you have to do is put a steering head here and another steering head behind your engine, and then have link bars, either one or two, so that when you turn your handlebars at the back, turns the forks at the front. That is another option that is open to me. I'm going to have to see which will actually work, because sitting on the gearbox and sticking your arms over the engine, it doesn't really tell you it quite so well. So I should just build it up, and if I can't do it without having ridiculously long handlebars on it, then I will put a second steering head in, but we shall see. Right, now when it comes to leading links, what you basically have is down the bottom of the fork leg here, it stops probably somewhere up here, and then you will either have it slotted, or you will have a rocker arm either on the inside or the outside bolted to it, and with a bearing in one of them, or a bush, depending on how you're going to do it, so the whole lot can rotate freely. So it rotates from the fork leg end. Then you have a connector to the axle in the middle of the rocker arm, and just before that you have another connection which has your shock absorber, which then goes back up onto the fork leg. So as your tyre bounces up and down, the whole thing can pivot at the back of the fork leg, but that is controlled by your suspension. I'll be using a couple of rear motorcycle shocks for that, fairly heavy duty ones. But what I'm going to have to do first, if I can decide on which ones I want, is once I've got this front end off of here, I might have to leave the engine on temporarily. So I need the engine and gearbox weight on the front, so I can weigh the front end, see how much actual weight is sitting right at this front part, so I can then not only build my forks accordingly, but also have the right shock absorbers on there to be able to cope with that sort of weight bouncing about. So if say for example there's 200 kilos of weight sitting on the front of here, then I would need a pair of shocks that can cope with more than 200 kilos, say 300, to give it a nice comfortable ride. If you had it at 200, they might be a little bit weak and you might find it a bit bouncy. Obviously if you had them at like 400, then it'd be too stiff probably, and then would get a really uncomfortable ride and the whole thing would skip around the road. There's lots of things to take into consideration. Also the angle of these forks, that's got to be sussed out. I reckon probably about 40-45 degrees, something like that, because I'm going to have to work out the rake and trail of it. Rake is the angle of the forks to the actual machine. And trail is an imaginary line, whoop, there we go, drawn down the middle of your axle, straight down to the ground, and it's the difference between that and where your forks end up going in a line to. Usually it's a matter of inches, but that will affect the way it handles. You have to get that within some sort of ballpark figure, although it is a little bit hit and miss. But that will have to be worked out as well. I've got some ideas in my head, but we shall see when it comes to it. I've still got to take this bloody steering guard off. I'm thinking out loud again. Oh bloody hell, and there's another bloody guard at the back by the looks of it. Yes, there is. There's another guard there protecting the steering arms at the back. So that's all going to have to come off. Wunderbar. But I think first things first, I need to take these rock sliders off. So I'll probably just cut them off because I'm going to be cutting off these outriggers anyway at some point, and they're attached to the outriggers. So. Yeah, they're going to be fun to cut off. They're going to be a twat to cut off. Anyone got a plasma cutter they can lend me? Just send it care of Grump. Middle of nowhere, Scotland. It'll get here. Right, let's get on. There we go, you can now see how slim the old girl is. That's a lot better. So she'll be nice and wide back here. Very slim at the front. Especially once all that suspension and everything's gone from there. Ah dear, that is going to take some doing, I tell you. Ah dear, anybody think I was enjoying this? Right, I'm now going to do a load of cleaning up, I think. So I've just noticed things like these bolts here that I've got to come off eventually. Oh, and this bloody sedimenter here has got to come off as well. It's not going to be used. Can't see any point. Haven't got one on any of my other Land Rovers. And you don't really need them because there's one built into the fuel filter anyway. As long as you remember to empty it occasionally. I empty one at least once every 10 years. Seems to do the trick. Right. Excuse me. Let's get on with some cleaning up, I think. Oh, and as you can see, I've cleaned up this bit of chassis here. It's actually not bad at all underneath all that crap. Fairly good nick. Well, until you get to there. I'm quite pleased. That was just with a quick wire brushing. Bit of scraping and bashing at the crap, and then a quick wire brush just to see how it would look. Obviously that's a wire brush by hand as well. Excuse me. No, it will get the whole thing will get a good clean up. And as I say, chop off of all these appendages it doesn't need. Right, get on and get some cleaning up done. Found some more rot, this time in a crucial place. Look at that. Right behind the fucking shock mount. I should check the other side now, see what that's like. That's not a good sign, is it? Oh, and I've also found, here we go, behind this thing, it's rotted. It may be that I have to cut the entire plate off here and weld a new one on. Rebuild the whole thing. We'll see. See what it's like once I've cut it apart. There's going to be some pretty extensive work done on this back cross member, because that has to be fucking solid, because that's holding your bloody axle in place. Yeah. Don't really want that part in company. But the actual cross tube itself is in very good nick. Yeah, it's covered in fucking surface rust, but it's actually pretty good so far. I'm pleasantly surprised at that, because they're known for rotting as well. Now there you go, never mind. More to do. Alright, let's carry on. Well, that appears to be better news. No obvious holes here anywhere. Nothing going through. And having cleaned up here as well, nothing there. Although what's going to be behind that when I take it off, who knows? Obviously it won't be taken off for a little while yet. But no, it's not too bad. I'm going to say that cross tube is absolutely fine. Not a hole in it anywhere. It's just the bits holding it on. Oh man. Like me, one decent bit of off-roading and that would have ripped apart. It hasn't done any of that in a long time. Well, I think I've done enough damage for one day. Here we go. Bloody hell. Can't even see myself and I think, fuck, my hair must be out of place. I do care about my hair. Yep. Right then, folks. Yeah, that's a quick catch up on what's going on. We are getting there now. We now have it down to length. I don't think I'll be cutting the middle part out. I can show you, look. Yeah, I could cut it. I'll say from in front of here, probably back to about here, and then push it all together, weld it all up and whatever, and stick a shorter, oh, my brain is gone, a shorter prop shaft on there, or even do it so the front one would fit on the back. But that's just such a lot of hassle. And this is going to be, as you know, a shitload of hassle anyway. So I can't be arsed with that. I think 15 and a half. That's reasonable for such a beast. Yeah. Well, there you go. We're coming together. We're getting there slowly. As I say, I've given myself a couple of years to do this. A year if I'm lucky. Who knows? Might take less, might take more, I don't fucking know. Not a clue. But I'm really enjoying all the puzzles and workarounds and things that I've got for it. There's a hell of a lot to think about. Hell of a lot. Anyway. That's it for now. I'll see you again very soon. Take care. Bye.